The tires hummed on the rain-soaked asphalt as we navigated the winding mountain roads. The rhythmic patter of rain on the car roof accompanied our journey into the heart of nature. My 3 friends Mike, Sarah, and Jackie and I had embarked on a much-needed vacation, leaving the confines of city life behind. The decision to escape our daily grind was born out of a collective desire for a change of scenery, a break from the monotony of our jobs. As hiking enthusiasts, the lure of mountain trails and the promise of pristine landscapes led us to a secluded airbun nestled amid the peaks. Mike, the meticulous planner, had meticulously mapped out our route, ensuring a seamless drive to our temporary mountain abode. Sarah, always up for an adventure, bubbled with excitement in the back seat, her infectious energy permeating the car. Jake, my closest friend, shared my enthusiasm for the great outdoors, making this escapade a shared dream. The airbun materialized through the mist, a quaint structure that seemed to embrace the very essence of the mountains. We unpacked our belongings, the air heavy with the scent of pine and the promise of rain. 2 of our group, Sarah and Mike, opted to stay behind, as the weather forecast hinted at an impending storm. Jake and I, however, were undeterred by the encroaching tempest. As the day waned, Jake and I decided to seize the opportunity for a pre-storm hike. Clad in raincoats and armed with backpacks, we ventured into the wilderness, leaving the safety of our temporary haven behind. The trail welcomed us with open arms, the earth beneath our boots soft and yielding. Mist clung to the trees like veils, weaving an ethereal tapestry that danced with every gust of wind. We marveled at the beauty of nature, the tranquility of the mountains, broken only by our footsteps and the occasional distant rumble of thunder. As we ascended, the clouds above darkened, an ominous forewarning of the impending storm. Unperturbed, we pressed on, the thrill of adventure masking the growing unease in our hearts. Our surroundings, once a haven of tranquility, transformed into a spectral landscape as the mist thickened. And then, as if on cue, the heavens opened. Rain cascaded from the sky in torrents, drenching us within moments. The trail, now a slippery slope, demanded our utmost attention as we navigated the descent. Conversation dwindled, replaced by the symphony of rain and our hurried breaths. The descent, however, proved more treacherous than anticipated. The path became a mudslide, each step a precarious dance with gravity. Panic set in as the mountains seemed to conspire against us. In the fading light, the world became a blur of slippery rocks and cascading water. Fighting against the elements, Jake and I clawed our way down the mountain. The rain, unrelenting, seemed determined to wash away any trace of our presence. Darkness enveloped us as we stumbled through the forest, guided only by the feeble glow of our flashlights. Hours passed, each moment shrouded in uncertainty. The forest, an impenetrable labyrinth, offered no solace. The promise of safety, embodied by the distant glow of our airbun, seemed a distant mirage. Then, through the dense canopy, a break in the trees revealed a clearing. Relief washed over us as we stumbled into the open, rain-soaked and disoriented. The silhouette of the airbun emerged like a beacon in the night, its warm glow offering a refuge from the storm. Our return to safety was met with a mixture of exhaustion and gratitude. Sarah and Mike, concerned for our well-being, greeted us with relieved smiles. The storm, now a distant rumble, allowed us a restless night's sleep, the promise of a new day awakening with a sense of renewed purpose. Morning dawned, the air crisp and the rain having yielded to a veil of mist that clung to the mountain peaks. Emboldened by our survival, we contemplated another day of exploration. However, as we prepared for a new adventure, the discovery of 3 distinct sets of footprints outside the airbun gave us pause. Confusion etched our faces as we counted only 2 returning from the hike with distinct impressions of Jake's and mine. The 3rd set, inexplicably leading back to our shelter, sent a chill down our spines. The realization dawned upon us that, amidst the storm and darkness, An unseen presence had trailed us through the forest. Fear, like an unwelcome companion, nestled in our hearts. The decision was swift, packing our belongings, leaving behind the airborne that had turned from refuge to the source of our unease. We left the mountains without a second glance, the misty peaks shrouded in mystery, and the unsettling echo of unseen footsteps lingering in our wake. The vacation, intended as an escape, had become a brush with the unknown. The mountains, once a symbol of serenity, now held secrets that whispered in the mist, a chilling reminder that, even in the heart of nature, danger could tread softly behind, concealed by the shadows of the storm. The night hung heavy with rain as I embarked on my DoorDash shift. The glow of streetlights was muted by the downpour, casting a spectral ambience on the empty streets. My hands gripped the steering wheel as I navigated through the storm, each drop a reminder of the relentless cascade that awaited me. My shift had been uneventful, a series of routine deliveries to quiet homes. The rain, however, added an eerie touch to the ordinary. Water streaked down my windshield like transient tears, blurring the world beyond. The city, usually alive with the hum of activity, lay cocooned in the storm's embrace. As the night wore on, I entertained the thought of calling it quits. One more order, I decided, before seeking refuge in the warmth of my home. The notification pinged, signaling a new delivery request. The promised $10 tip beckoned me, a beacon of motivation on this dreary night. The delivery address was a remote part of town, a place I rarely ventured. The GPS guided me through unfamiliar streets, the rain reducing visibility to a mere blur of shapes and shadows. The neon glow of the cityscape dimmed as I ventured into the outskirts, where the night seemed to deepen with each passing mile. Arriving at the location, a sense of unease settled over me. The trailer sat in solitude, its silhouette barely visible against the backdrop of darkness. The rain, now a deluge, obscured the surroundings, leaving me feeling isolated and vulnerable. The $10 tip flashed in my mind, a tempting incentive that urged me to proceed. Hesitation clung to me like a damp shroud as I approached the trailer door. The creaking of the rain-soaked steps beneath my shoes echoed in the silence, the only sound punctuating the rhythmic drumming of the storm. I knocked on the door, the sound swallowed by the rain symphony. Silence ensued, stretching into an uncomfortable void. Minutes passed, each drop of rain marking the passage of time. A chill crept over me as I stood, drenched and alone, before the seemingly abandoned trailer. Deciding to call the customer, I retrieved my phone from my pocket, fingers fumbling with the screen. The rain, relentless in its assault, dampened both my clothes and my resolve. As the phone rang, a sense of vulnerability gnawed at me, intensified by the desolation of the remote location. Suddenly, the sound of a ringing phone echoed behind me, sending shivers down my spine. I turned, heart pounding, to face the murky darkness that extended beyond the trailer. The source of the ringing remained concealed, hidden in the obscurity of the storm. Fear, primal and unexplained, gripped me. Rationality struggled against the rising tide of panic. My gaze darted, searching for the unseen caller, the rain-soaked surroundings playing tricks on my senses. The trailer, once a seemingly harmless abode, now felt like a backdrop to a horror scene. I called out, my voice swallowed by the rain. No response. The phone continued its relentless ringing, each vibration sending tremors through my already frazzled nerves. The $10 tip, once a beacon, now felt like an ominous lure into the unknown. Without thinking, I threw the bag of food onto the porch and sprinted back to my car. The rain-soaked steps were slippery beneath my hurried footsteps, the trailer shrinking behind me as I distanced myself from the inexplicable fear that gripped my soul. I drove away, the storm-ridden streets blurring into a labyrinth of anxiety. The trailer, the unseen caller, the unanswered questions that lingered in the recesses of my mind. The $10 tip, once a coveted reward, now felt like a paltry offering in exchange for the unsettling encounter. As I reached the safety of well-lit streets, I glanced back at the trailer disappearing into the rain-soaked night. The shadows seemed to dance around it, concealing the mysteries that lingered within. I vowed never to return to that remote part of town, the enigma of that night forever etched in my memory. The rain persisted, washing away the traces of my unnerving delivery. I drove home, the storm retreating in the rearview mirror. Yet the unease lingered like a spectre. In the safety of my home, I pondered the events of that rainy night, the unanswered questions casting a shadow over the routine of my ordinary life. Some mysteries, I concluded, were better left veiled in the obscurity of the storm. The rain beat against my window like a relentless adversary, each drop a reminder of the storm's persistence. I sat alone in my dimly lit living room, the glow of the TV casting shadows that seemed to dance in sync with the rhythmic patter of raindrops. The house creaked, settling into the eerie ambience of the storm. I had planned a quiet night of video games, relishing the solitude that the rain had enforced. The comforting hum of the console and the occasional thunderclap outside provided a strange sort of symphony. And I was lost in the digital world when it happened. A sharp, deliberate knock on the window. I jumped, the controller slipping from my grip. I turned to face the source of the sound. The rain blurred the glass, creating an almost dreamlike quality to the outside world. Another knock followed, more insistent this time. My gaze scanned the obscured view, searching for any sign of movement. Convinced it was just a particularly large raindrop, I chuckled at my own paranoia and resumed my gaming. The rain continued its relentless assault, the digital world a welcome distraction from the ominous drumming outside. But then, it happened again. 3 distinct knocks, deliberate and unsettling. A surge of fear gripped me. I was alone in the house, the storm isolating me from the world. My heart pounded as I mustered the courage to confront whoever was outside. I stood up, the controller now a foreign object in my hand. The knocks persisted, echoing through the room. "Who's out there?" I shouted, my voice shaky. "What do you want?" Silence followed. The rain seemed to mock my paranoia. Its steady beat now a maddening drum roll. An impulse to prove my courage surged within me. I approached the window, determined to unmask the source of the disturbance. "I'm armed," I declared, though the quiver in my voice betrayed my unease. "If you don't leave, I'll call the police." The knock ceased, and the oppressive silence that followed was almost deafening. I peered through the rain-streaked window, scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. But there was nothing, just a distorted reflection of my own anxious face. Summoning a false bravado, I threw the front door open, ready to face whatever awaited me. The storm greeted me like an invisible adversary, raindrops pelting my face as I scanned the darkness outside. The neighborhood stood still, a monochromatic tableau of wet asphalt and glistening trees. Reality crashed over me, a cold realization that going outside in the dark, rainy night was a dangerous gamble. I hesitated, my gaze shifting to the shadows that seemed to elongate in the dim light. A voice in my head screamed at me to retreat, to secure the sanctuary of my home. With a trembling hand, I closed the door, the thud echoing in the emptiness of the house. I locked it, feeling a perverse sense of safety despite the fear that gnawed at me. I retreated to the living room, where the video game console's gentle hum was now a feeble comfort against the haunting echo of the knocks. The night dragged on, the storm showing no signs of relenting. I sat on edge, every raindrop a potential harbinger of the mysterious visitor's return. Sleep eluded me, the fear of the unknown paralyzing my senses. As dawn approached, the rain began to subside. I cautiously approached the window, the grey light revealing a world still damp and glistening. The storm had passed, leaving in its wake a tangible unease that clung to the air. Summoning the courage I had lacked the night before, I stepped outside to survey the aftermath. The wet ground betrayed no immediate signs of the mysterious knocker. I circled the house, my gaze scanning for footprints or any trace of the nocturnal visitor. Then, I saw them footprints in the mud, encircling the house, a sinister testament to the events of the night. The rain had washed away some details, but there they were, leading to each window as if the intruder had stood outside, staring in. My pulse quickened as I followed the trail. The footprints were deep, as if the mysterious person had lingered for quite a while. Dread filled me as I reached the front window, where the prints were the deepest. The idea that someone had been watching me, standing just beyond the glass, sent shivers down my spine. The police were called, a report filed, but there was little they could do. The rain had washed away much of the evidence, leaving only the lingering fear that I had narrowly escaped a threat that lingered in the shadows. In the aftermath, the footprints in the mud haunted my thoughts. The rain, once a soothing companion, now carried with it the echoes of a nightmarish encounter. I couldn't shake the feeling that, had I stepped outside that night, the outcome might have been vastly different. The rainstorm, with its relentless pounding, had brought a threat to my doorstep, a threat that left behind footprints, both in the mud and in the recesses of my mind. The shadows cast by the storm seemed to whisper of dangers unseen, a chilling reminder that sometimes safety lies in the sanctuary of one's own fears.